Okay, so hi, welcome again. Today we're going to talk about the No'j Trecena. We're on the day 13 Ajmak. We're just finishing this 13-day period of Cat, and in the middle of that 13-day period we have Bats, the most important day of the calendar, the renewal of the ceremonial cycle, the renewal of the calendar itself, the initiation cycle. Now, one of the interesting things, or for me, one of the really cool things about this Trecena is that we have a very important day there. That is for Achpu. Why is that an important day? Well, because 4 Achpu is the creation day. If we look back at the stela at Kirigua that shows us the creation of the fourth sun, the date of creation of the fourth sun, 11th of August 3114 BC, was the day 4 Achpu 8 Kumku. If we look back at 21st of December 2012, supposedly the creation of the fifth sun, 4 Achpu 3 Kankin. Creation day is 4 Achpu day. Why? Because we have gone from 13 Akabal. Okay, 13 Akabal, the new concept that comes from the ancestors, the new concept that comes from spirit. We're going through that, through 8 bats. Oops, 8 bats. So 8 bats, this weaving day where everything comes together. Now, this is through what we call the Mayan cross form of astrology. Akabal is the conception of bats, and bats leads to 3 Kawok. And 3 Kawok is the midwife. 3 Kawok is right there. Okay, so this is the creation of the new world, because 3 Kawok is the day before 4 Achpu. It's literally the midwife to the resurrection of the corn, the resurrection of the maize. Okay, and so we can see how this, well, this began a long time before that. It began 13 days before that, right? Back in the that was back in the Bats Trecena. Okay, then we go through the Cat Trecena, and now we're going into the No'j Trecena. And so we see the process of creation happening. So there is a creativity happening in this Trecena, which is really rather important. So these days, well, I guess we'll talk about them as we go through. We're going to talk about one No'j to begin with. So No'j is about the mind, it's about the brain. It's about using your knowledge to solve problems. I say that it's the Nawal of the left hemisphere of the brain. It's the logical bit. It controls the right side of the body, the right hand. So we can see it as like, it's kind of a masculine thing, right? It's the logic. Sometimes it can be very, very straight. But it's all about our thoughts and our ideas. And it's about being able to put our thoughts in order to create. That's what No'j can bring to us. So we take our knowledge that we've gained and we put it in order to create something new, to come up with a new idea. So No'j is all about coming up with a new idea, and we're going to begin it on one No'j. So literally the one being like a seed, the one being like birth, the one being like a new thing which is coming into the world. So this is all about coming up with a new idea, coming up with a new plan, we might say as well. Obviously No'j, and like a plan is what happens when we put our information into the correct order. We come up with a plan for going forward. Okay, this is about solving our problems. Okay, so it's a new ideas for solving our problems. That's what the general theme of this Trecena is about. Okay, so one No'j might be the seed of that new idea. Now the one, like any seed, needs water, needs compost, needs sunlight in order to grow into something. So this is kind of like getting some new information maybe. Maybe there's some new knowledge that's going to come in, which you're going to turn into a new idea. So tomorrow is about, okay, a quest for new knowledge. And also, you may also find that sometimes you've got an idea, you've got a bit of an idea in the back of your head. You're not sure whether it's the right idea or not yet, and maybe you need to bounce it off a few of your friends to get a bit of encouragement. Yeah, you're going the right, yeah, that would be brilliant. Okay, so the one is also that seed needs a fertilizer. The fertilizer is often the confirmation or the help of our friends to understand that that idea is going in the right direction. From 1 No'j, we're going to go into 2 Tihash. Now, I probably use the word interesting far too many times, but that's the way it is, right? Because here we have two things which represent a very similar principle. We have the number 2, which is duality and division, polarities, and Tihash, which is cutting. And what happens when we cut? Well, we create two things from one thing. Okay, so we see division and division. There's a lot of kind of like here, this can really be about chopping away stuff. Now, what are we chopping away? Well, Tihash, I call the editor. I call the sculptor. Tihash is one of the few, the sculptor is one of the few artists who creates through subtraction, the same way as an editor will bring out the best, the finest part of the work by cutting away that which doesn't fit. Okay, and so here, the number 2 can be about making decisions, taking choices, and these can be very black and white choices. Okay, this is like toss a coin, heads or tails, yes or no, left or right, up or down. What do you want to keep? What do you want to get rid of? Because if you're going to go into this new plan and you're going to create a new world, you need to be very clear on what you're bringing in. Okay, so 2 Tihash can be, quite honestly, a bit harsh. It can be a bit brutal with stuff because it's very, very black and white choices. Okay, 2 is all about making decisions. And this 2 can also be with regards to relationships because it represents lovers and relationships as well. So Tihash can be taking things apart. It can also be healing because Tihash is the warrior and the healer. So it might be about looking within. Maybe you're in a relationship. Maybe you need to kind of like cut out things that don't work within that relationship. Maybe it's time to have a bit of a sort out and use the discernment of Tihash to see what you want to keep and what you want to let go of. Whether that's in relationship or in relationship to your new idea. Okay, from 2 Tihash we then move into 3 Kawok. Kawok, as I said, is the midwife to the resurrection. Kawok is the rain that falls so that the new maize can sprout. You know, when we take these little kernels of maize and we plant them in the soil, they're these little dead, dry, skull-like things. They don't seem to have any life in them. We put them in the dry soil and nothing happens until it rains, and then all of a sudden the greenness comes back again. Kawok has resurrected the maize. Okay, so Kawok days are days of, we can see them as days of fertility, we can see them as days of resurrection, we can see them as days where the rain clears the path for the new growth to happen. And Kawok can equally be constructive and destructive. When the flood clears the way, it allows the new world to come in. And so we have 3 Kawok here, well, the 3 representing the home place. So this is a great day to go sorting out through your home, kind of like, you know, and clear out any obstructions, anything that's stopping you from moving forward in your rebirth process, your process of creation, anything that's blocking your plan. Kawok is there to help you to wash it away, to help you to birth it into being. Okay, so Kawok is also seen as a female healer day. Okay, so this is a great day to bring that female essence into your home. Maybe it's a great day to go and visit a female healer to work on your inner work. Okay, to clear the way, to allow for Achpu to happen. For Achpu. Achpu, the quest for the divine. Achpu, the sun. Achpu, the hero. The number 4 representing the physical plane of existence. The 4 directions, sunrise, midday, sunset, midnight. Is literally 4s make up our physical world. I used to be a chemist, and in my world 4 also represents the tetrahedral nature of a carbon atom. how it bonds. We're carbon-based life forms. So 4 is literally the physical number. Okay? And what's this? The divine No'j. So this is the manifestation of the divine into the physical. Now we can understand why it's the creation of the sun. It's the emergence of the new world. Okay? So this is sitting right here. The 4, well, it's, you know, the thing about the 4 is that it is also, it's on a plane. It's also kind of like the material realm. And so there is an element of it, we could see the 4 as being square. Okay, it still needs to get out of its box a little bit, but it's the first foundation of the divine manifestation into the physical. Okay, and so when we take it from the viewpoint of our plan, this is where we might be looking for divine guidance in order to understand how to manifest it into the physical. From there, we then go into 5 Imosh. Now, Imosh is the representation of the lake. Imosh is the large bodies of water. Imosh is our dream world, the thing that connects us all together. It's the collective consciousness that we're all part of, the psychic field around us all. So it helps us to tap into the feeling that's around us. It also represents the dream world that we visit every night. So we can see Imosh as representing our dreams. The number 5 is that, it's the hand, and it represents the work. Now, the scientific definition of work is the application of energy to a system. So this is the application of your energy to your dreams. Because they're not just going to fall in your lap. You've got to put some effort in, you've got to put some energy in if you want to manifest them into the world. So this is a great day to be putting that energy, like your physical energy, into manifesting your dreams into this world. From your plan. Okay? So we're seeing it weave through. From that work day, we're then going into this day. Now this is a very interesting day, 6 Ik. Ik being communication, the divine breath, the wind which brings everything to life. It's a day on which we make speeches, it's a day on which we communicate. Now how are we communicating and what are we communicating with? Well, the number 6 has several meanings. I was saying that the 4 we can see as being the 4 cardinal points. The 6 we can take to bring in the divine masculine and the divine feminine essences into that. Okay, so you know, I was saying that 4 is kind of like, sometimes 4 has a little bit of trouble getting out of the box, getting to do something more than just the physical world. It's great for grounding stuff. 4s are fantastic for making solid foundations, but we want to take that foundation somewhere else. And the 6 brings in the essences of the divine into the physical plane. Okay, so we also see 6 as the number of ultimate stability. We see it as, I see it as benzene rings and honeycombs myself. That's the way that I see stability. But this is taking that solid foundation of the 4 and embellishing it with something divine. The 4 we could look at as being like the 4 walls of our house. It keeps us safe and that. But this is kind of like, okay, now let's make them pretty. Okay? We also see 6 as the number of family values, and so it represents the family. So here we have it with the No'j of communication. So this is a really great day to get your new idea into the world, to communicate your new idea, because it's with a 6, and so a 6 is a nice stable number. Not too much, not too little. Enough to get your point across without labouring it too much. Might also be a great day to communicate with your family, if that's something that you need to do. Ik is the voice which inspires. Ik is the divine breath. Ik is like, it can talk us into all sorts of stuff. It can inspire us to do stuff. So this inspiration that we see on 6 Ik is what's coming from above and below and bringing it into physical form. So it's kind of like inspiring us to physical action through divine word. From 6 Ik, we then move to 7 Akbal. So Akabal is the new concept. Akabal is the dusk and the dawn. It's that moment before the sunrise and that moment after sunrise. It's that moment with all those colours in the sky. Now, I always see Akabal as a process. It's moving from darkness into light. It's moving from light into darkness. It's that time of day, at the beginning and the end of the day. And sometimes I kind of like see it in my own kind of way, as like your hands taking the sun out of the underworld and bringing it into the upper world. That's the Akabal moment, okay? It's about bringing new concepts into the light, taking what was in the darkness and bringing it into the light, taking what was in the dream world and manifesting it into the physical, bringing new concepts into the world. Okay, so it's that kind of process. And we have it here connected with the number 7, which is seen as the number of death and endings. Now, the reason for this is because in the calendar, like the first apparition of something is number 1 and the last apparition is number 7. So if we looked across a calendar board, we would find it go 1 Imosh, 8 Imosh, 9, 2, blah, 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 up until 7. So 1 and 7 encapsulate everything. 1 and 7 we also see in the Popol Vuh as the 1 and 7 Achpu, 1 and 7 Kamei, the entire cycle of the sun, the entire cycle of the Lords of Death. All of those. Hello. Okay, so that's how it represents endings. It's also the journey that takes us to the top of the pyramid. And so it's all about choices and decisions. When we're standing on top of the pyramid, we can see in every direction. Okay? Important thing is to make a move, not just to stand there looking at how many choices we've got. We've got to act on one. So, what is the end or the death of the dawning? It's when the first ray of light passes above the horizon. That's when Akabal has finished its job. Okay, so this is the end of the concept, finishing the concept, tying it up. Okay, so you may find that in your new plan, you've got a few concepts that you're bringing in. This is the day to finalize it. Okay, this is the day to bring it into the light finally. From 7 Akabal, we're then going into, oops. Look at that, I got them the wrong way round. Can. There we go, that's what I get for doing it in a hurry, isn't it? Okay, so from 7 Akabal, we're then going into 8 Cat. Okay, so Cat is the net. Cat, in the Popol Vuh, in the story of the hero twins, Cat is kind of like represented by a woman called Ik, who has this magical net that multiplies corn silk into cobs of corn. And so Cat is all about multiplication. It's all about our harvest. It's all about our abundance, but it's also all about knowing when to empty our net so that the new harvest can come in. You know, maybe when you set off from home, you had 14 kilos in your backpack and you were all moving really well. And then as you go around Guatemala, you're picking up blankets and pottery and all of this kind of stuff. And now you're at 23 kilos and you can hardly move. And you need to have a little bit of a sort out so that you can move forward freely. Well, that's what Cat is all about. Looking through our bag, determining what sustains us and what is actually holding us back. So 8 Cat is a great day to give thanks for the abundance that we've received in life, because everything is useful at whatever point it is that we've received it. But sometimes we form an attachment to it. Sometimes that's that blanket that so-and-so's grandma gave us and all that kind of thing, and we don't want to get rid of it, but we don't need it anymore, and it would be better to give it to somebody who's going to a cold place or something like that. So Cat is all about looking at that, the balance between what we need to keep in our net and what we can release. Cat is also the 8 Cat. Give thanks for what you've received in your net, for what you carry with you, and give thanks for your liberty, because when we can move freely, I mean, we're all in the lucky position that we're able to be here, right? We have freedom of movement. So this is 8 cat. What are we going to harvest? What are we going to bring in? What are we going to bring together from this plan? From 8 cat, we then move into 9 can. So the Nawal can is the Nawal of power and wisdom. Nawal can is all about that. It's the body lightning that flows through us, the kayapa. Okay, now when we're working with that body lightning, when we're engaging with our ki, our chi, our kundalini and all those kind of things, that's when this can is active. And when we're using it it brings wisdom. It doesn't determine how it's used, and sometimes can, well, you know, we can use our energy in whatever way we like. That's one of the ways that we learn, right? Because we don't always learn by getting it right the first time. Sometimes we learn by falling off the horse. We learn more. So power and wisdom that comes through learning. Can is also the Nawal of our teachers, because they are the ones that pass their wisdom to us. Can, the empowerment of people through the passing of wisdom. So we see it as the day of teachers. And here we have it with the number 9. 9 can. 9 is the number of life. It's also the number of the feminine. So this is particularly a day of female teachers, is one way that we could look at it. Female wisdom, female power. Okay, we've got all of those things engaged right there. Okay, so this is maybe a day to seek wisdom from the women around you, to engage with feminine wisdom. From 9, that's can, yeah. From 9 can, we then go to 10 kame. Kame, death, transformation. Also the connection to the ancestors. It's the day on which we remember our ancestors. So we're still talking about being in this time of bringing in a new plan, using our knowledge to bring in new, like a new system or something like that. Well, here we have transformation. Kame is also about facing our fears. When the hero twins went to the underworld, they were set tasks by the Lords Kame, the Lords of Death. And most of those tasks were really kind of scary, they were kind of frightening. And so Kame is about facing our fears and using the strength of our ancestors, the knowledge of our ancestors, in order to overcome our fears. How might we do that? Well, the number 10 is this. It's cooperation. It's about society. It's about making agreements. It's also about holding each other's hands, okay? Because sometimes we need a bit of encouragement from our friends, from our community. So this is helping our community, or being part of our community, to overcome fears. Because sometimes when we're bringing our new ideas into the world, we're not sure whether they're going to fly or not. We need that encouragement. So here is seeking maybe the advice of the ancestors in order to hold our hands through the fear. Okay, there's also, Kame is all about spiritual transformation. When the hero twins ended up dying, they were then resurrected as magical beings, because that's what happens. Okay, and so Kame is about kind of like using it, overcoming something, transforming to make something better than what you could imagine it to be. And here we see it through cooperation, through society. From 10 Kame we go into 11 Kirch. 11 Kirch is, well, a day that I call the Stampede. Kirch is the spirit of the wilderness. It is connected with deer, and I also see it as the wild horse because it has that spirit to it. We know that wild horses are strong, they're determined. That's what Kirch has going on for it. And the 11, all over the place, so we don't know where it's going to go next. If it's heading in your direction, get out of its way, because it's not going to stop. So there may be some, like 11 Kirch can be strength and determination, particularly through the natural world, through being around the natural world, and it might come in from all sorts of different ways. Kirch is also the messages that come to us from the natural world. So Kirch days are always a great day to take a walk in the woods, to take a walk in the mountains, and listen for what messages come through, because 11 would suggest there's a lot of messages to come through on that day. Interestingly enough, 11 Kech is one of our altars up on Sanko Hill here, and so we'll be making a ceremony that day to give, like, as it's the birthday of the altar in particular. So it's a special day for us. So 11 Kech, as I say, it might be a bit wild and powerful, and sometimes we might not almost need to rein ourselves in, because we might become too stubborn about something. You know, sometimes when you've got a new idea and you're really excited about it, well, this 11 Kech is saying kind of like, take a look at the door before you start using your Kech nature to batter a pull door. That door maybe says pull rather than push. Okay, so just sort of like temper it a little bit. From 11 Kech, we're going to go into 12 Anil. Anil is, well, in some ways it can be seen as the seed. It's all about fertility, but the Anil actually means, An means yellow, Il means having the qualities of, and it's about yellowing. Yellowing is maturing. It's what happens to the maize when it is coming to its full ripeness. And so Anil is about bringing things to their maturity. So we've taken our seed of an idea, our seed of a plan, and here it's coming to maturity. How do we mature it? Well, we use the number 12, and the number 12 is the bringing together of all of life's experiences. So, you know, sometimes you get a bit stuck in your plan, you're not sure how you could take it forward, and then you remember that thing that happened 5 or 10 years ago that is just this same kind of situation, and that's what you use to bring your plan to maturity. Okay, and what sort of maturity? Well, Anil rather, is abundance. It's about saying this is coming to its full fruition. This is the brilliant yellowness of the maize when it's just ripe. Okay, so this has the potential to bring everything to its best possible ripeness when you apply your life experience to it. Okay, and then finally we get to 13 Toch. So this is the end of the No'j Trecena. Toch is about payment. Toch is about making our fire. The Nawal of the fire is Toch. The Nawal of giving is Toch. The Nawal of giving something back. Look at this, all this abundance that we get, all this ripening that comes in. It's only right that we then give back for something, right? And so this is where we make our fire. And what do we give back? Who do we give back to? The number 13 represents spirit. It represents the ancestors. So this is a really important day for creating a balance for everything that we've received from our ancestors. Okay? It's a great day for making an offering, whether it's the ancestors who are in spirit or whether it's our ancestors who are around. Either way, like sometimes they say that Toch has a form of natural protection to it, and that if we fall out of balance, then Toch also kind of like reminds us by bringing a sickness or something like that. So if we're not feeling so well, maybe we've become out of balance with our ancestors, and this is the day to redress it. And so in some ways we can see the fire as being healing. In some ways we can see that when we pay off a debt, we're releasing one of those energetic imbalances, and so we naturally become well. Okay, so 13 Toch is about redressing the balance with your ancestors by making a payment, remembering what you need to give back to them. Okay, so that's the Trecena of No'j. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and I hope that you've learnt something from it. And I'll be making another one of these presentations in 13 days' time for the Trecena of Tea. Okay? Thank you.